Welcome to the Shekina Meditation Podcast, created by Shekina community members. Shekina communities are dedicated to creating free devotional spaces of Christian practice for spiritual seekers and travelers around the world. We post Christ-centered guided meditation each week to help you in your personal or small group practice. You can find episode, show notes, and other information at shekinacommunity.com. Hello, this is Rachel.
Hi, this is Rowan.
This is week 3 of the podcast.
Woohoo!
And we're delighted to be here.
We're so excited that you guys are getting into listening to us and downloading. We're now on iTunes.
We're now on iTunes.
Woo-hoo!
You can find us on iTunes.
Exciting. So it's Wednesday, September 19th, as we record this. And we're recording a little bit early because I'm going down to get my Uncle Craig from Chiang Mai tomorrow.
As
Very
one does.
excited. Woo, woo.
Retrieving uncles from Chiang Mai is a good task to have.
Such a good task, even though it involves 6 hours on the minivan. However, worth it.
We have a lot of curves on our road to Chiang Mai. 3 hours of curves,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a wild one. What's been going on, Ro?
Well, this week we are taking a break, actually these 2 weeks, this week and next week, taking a break from our regular rhythms at Shekina Garden, except for community lunch. So this last week, a few days ago on Sunday, we had a really lovely music circle, lots of blues. This sweet guy from Israel absolutely rocked out. Just a lot of energy. It was great. There's so many different nationalities around all the time here, which we just love. So we get people from China and Japan and Korea. There's friends here at the moment from the UK and the States and Argentina and Spain and Russia and everywhere. I love it.
We always ask a question at community lunch in a sharing circle, and I asked where people's favorite camping spots were.
Yes.
And I loved it because people were talking about beautiful places that they camped in Georgia, the country, and where else? People were talking about Taiwan and
The lakes of Argentina.
Yeah, the lakes of Argentina, and the north of Spain.
Yeah, Spanish mountains. Oh man,
It's just like traveling there ourselves, except just sitting in the circle, hearing people talk about the most beautiful places.
I think it gave us all itchy feet to go camping and take more picnics and be out in nature more. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I was longing for some pines. Pining for pines. So this week, I'm doing literal housekeeping at my house. I'm trying to do my fall cleaning. It's not really fall here. It's end of rainy season cleaning. So that means mold's been gathering and it's time to wipe it up. And we're doing a bit of housekeeping at immigration. They are in town. They only come into town once a month. And we have to report every 90 days to say where our address is.
Yes.
It's kind of one of the annoying parts of living in Thailand, but boo-hoo, it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, we have to go to immigration.
So we get to hang out in a slightly smelly, airless office and just hang out with our paperwork in hand. Let's take a book to read this week.
Yeah, it's always fun to see who comes in.
Yeah, we usually see all our friends there.
Yeah.
We're also getting ready for the river gathering, which is happening in just a couple of weeks now. Chiang Mai, Chinua particularly, has been quite busy getting that organised. We're putting together sessions. I'm putting together a panel on sharing Jesus, which I'm very excited about. So I get to hear different people's stories about how they do that in their lives and in their communities.
Wow, that's exciting. Yeah, I love these kinds of weeks. It's a fairly easy week with lots of little tidbits here and there. Meeting people on the street or hanging out, doing regular things.
Yeah, so nice.
This podcast is supported by you. Because this podcast is about meditation, we're trying to keep it ad-free. So our beautiful patrons at patreon.com support us for as little as $1 a month. And patrons who pledge as little as $3 get extra audio every month. You can find us at patreon.com/Shekina Meditation Podcast.
So supporting this podcast helps to keep Shekina communities running and free for travelers and spiritual seekers And it really does help us know that you appreciate what we're doing and putting this podcast out into the world. Thank you so much, patrons. You're the best. You are the cat's pajamas.
You're nice and fresh, linen smelling.
Straight out of the wash.
Straight out of the wash. The cat's pajamas.
Full of sunshine.
Not even yet hairy. Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
So today's podcast is an imagination meditation on John 13, verses 1 to 17, guided by Neil, on location at Shekina Garden in Bai.
The meditation will have 3 parts. During the first, Neil will guide you through getting ready for meditation. During the second part, he will guide the imagination meditation in John. The point of imagination meditation is to put yourself in the story. Really put yourself in there. Try to be there. You might like to be a character or a fly on the wall. And try to use all your senses.
And then for the third part of the meditation, you can either journal your experiences on your own or share in a small group. A good sharing circle gives people a space to share about their experience of the meditation without being corrected or criticized. We just give each other the opportunity to share whatever happened for you.
Yeah, and all encouragement to enter in with a child's heart full of imagination and spark, and really try to be in this place as Neil guides you today.
Let's begin.
Christ-centered meditation is about creating space in our minds. It is a time of quiet that allows room for the Spirit of God to speak to our hearts. We learn to master our thoughts and come back to a place of focus, again and again, to be quiet before the divine presence of God, and to spend time with a single thought or idea. Meditation is a Christian practice like prayer or study, worship or fasting. As with all practices, there are easy and hard days. But as we bring this practice into our lives, we grow with it over time. We learn to love this spacious place with God, who invites us to grow in the silence with Him. If you find that you are distracted and need to keep drawing yourself back to your focus, do not be discouraged. This is the muscle that you are exercising with meditation, and I believe that this act of refocusing is the heart of meditation. Be kind and encouraging to yourself as you practice. You can follow along alone or with others in a quiet place, outdoors or at home. A quick warning: we don't recommend meditating while driving. Be safe.
So the style of meditation we'll be doing is an imagination meditation. So make yourself comfortable, find yourself a position that you can hold for a while. I invite you to close your eyes and just settle in to a comfortable position. There's no strict rule to stay in that position. If you need to move, feel free. But find something that has a straight spine as much as you can. And just bring your attention to your breath. Just breathing normally and comfortably. Feeling the sensation of your breath as it enters in and goes out. Where can you feel your body moving as you breathe? And as you breathe and as you sit, you may begin to feel the aches and pains in your body. So with each breath, try to breathe into those points that do feel a bit sore or a bit stiff. Breathe into them, and then as you breathe out, try to relax them. If that means shifting around a bit to get a bit more comfortable, then feel free. And as you breathe, now bring your awareness to the sounds around you. The sounds that are close, the sounds that are distant. Listen to every sound that you can hear. Now just focus on one sound. And imagine what that sound looks like. How is it being made? Think of the detail. Come back to your breath. And focus on the sensation of breathing. Perhaps at this point, you may have noticed that our thoughts tend to distract us, or our mind wanders off. We've all come from different experiences of this morning or of this day. So spend some time now becoming aware of the thoughts. That you have in your mind. Maybe it's to-do lists, maybe it's conversations you've had or need to have, or emotions, whatever they may be. And as you think of these things, imagine in your mind in front of you a box with a lid. And if you have these thoughts, these concerns or to-do lists, then open the lid of your box, and one by one, place these thoughts, these emotions, whatever they may be, place them into the box, carefully. But purposefully. When you are finished, place the lid back onto the box and place the box behind you. This time now is an opportunity to make some space in our hearts, in our minds, in our spirits. To make space to meet with God, to meet with the divine. Those things that you've placed in your box, they'll still be there at the end of the meditation, and you can choose to pick them up again if you want to. But right now, let's clear some space. If you find yourself wanting to think about or be distracted by the things in your box or by other thoughts, then come back to your breath. Remember your box and refocus on the meditation. story today comes from the book of John in chapter 13. And it takes place in the city of Jerusalem almost 2,000 years ago. Imagine in your mind what this city might look like. What do the streets look like? Or the buildings? Or the people? What do you see as you walk through the streets? Or perhaps fly overhead? What are the sounds and smells? In our story, it is festival time, and people from all over the country would travel days to attend the festival. What do you see now? How does the scene change? But where we meet Jesus and his disciples, however, is in a room upstairs and at night. What do you see? What does this room look like? This group of people are eating together. How is the room lit? And what do these people look like? What are the sounds and smells? How does the room feel? And where are you in this scene? From the book of John in chapter 13. It was just before the Passover feast. Jesus knew that the time had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he now showed them the full extent of his love. The evening meal was being served, and the devil had already prompted Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. What do you see? What is the feeling in the room? Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with a towel that was wrapped around him. What do you see? How did the disciples react to this? What's the feeling in the room? He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "you shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." Simon Peter replied, "Then, Lord, not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." What is the feeling in the room? Jesus answered, "A person who has had a bath needs only to wash his feet. His whole body is clean. And you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him. And that was why he said not every one was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. What do you see now? How has the room changed from when things began? Do you understand what I have done for you? He asked them. You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example, that you should do as I have done for you. I tell you the truth. No servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them. As our story comes to an end, imagine in your mind the scene of the disciples and Jesus finishing their meal. Some of the disciples are clearing the table and washing up. Others are talking amongst themselves. But Jesus is sitting by himself and he's lost in thought. And you are there as well. And you see an opportunity to speak with Jesus. Just you and him, privately. I invite you to take this opportunity, even as you sit here now, to speak with Jesus, to respond to what he has said. What would you say? And if you do meet with him, listen for a response. What is Jesus wanting to tell you? come back to your breath. Focus again on the sensation of breathing. And take a series of maybe 5 deep breaths. And with each exhalation, become more aware of the sounds around you. And the people around you. And when you're ready, rejoin the circle. And indicate that you are ready by opening your eyes.
When you are ready, take a few deep breaths and begin your time of journaling or sharing with others. Thank you for joining today. There will be a new guided meditation each week, so don't forget to subscribe on iTunes or sign up for our newsletter to get podcasts delivered to your inbox at www.shekinacommunity.com/podcast newsletter. Have a beautiful week. Blessings to you.